Today we're doing 10.5, which is solving for a variable. Let's start with this first example. The directions say solve for the indicated variable. So if I have the equation v minus e plus f equals 2, and it says to solve for v, that means I want to get v alone. I want it to say v equals. So in the end, my final answer should say v equals something. Now, because you have more than one variable, your answer will not be a number or an integer. So I'm going to start the same way. I'm going to add a negative e. I'm going to do SEO. So I need to move everything that's next to v onto the other side. So I have two things. You can move either one first. I'm going to start by adding an e to both sides to make my equation v plus f equals 2 plus e. Now v is not all by itself yet, so next I have to add a negative f. So when I do that, I get v equals 2 plus e plus negative f. That is your final answer, because all again I want to do is get v alone. So let's try another one like that. Let's do the same equation of v minus e plus f equals 2, but this time we're going to solve for e. So now in the end, I want it to say e equals. So I'm going to start off the same way by doing SEO, so that it's a negative e. And I want to move everything away from e. So I'm going to add a negative v because that's the opposite of a positive v. So I'm left with negative e plus f equals 2 plus negative v. E is not alone yet, so I'm going to add a negative f to both sides. And I'm left with negative e equals 2 plus negative v plus negative f. Now e is not fully alone because there's still a negative 1 there. So I'm going to divide everything by a negative 1. So I'm left with e equals. Now when I do this, I have to change the sign to everything. So everything gets flipped. So it's going to become negative 2 plus v plus f. You can think of this step right here where we were dividing as doing 2 divided by negative 1 plus negative v divided by negative 1 plus negative f divided by negative 1, which takes you right to there. It just changes all of the signs. So this here is your final answer. Okay, let's try this one. It says a equals 1/2 b times h, and we're going to solve for h. So you learned how to get rid of a fraction. We multiply by the LCD, or in this case, we can just multiply by 2 over 1, and whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other side. So when we do that, this fraction cancels out, and we're left with 2a equals b times h. Now if I want to get h alone, I need to do the opposite of multiplying, which is dividing. So I'm going to divide both sides by b. So h equals 2a divided by b. That's my final answer. Okay, I want you to try this one. 2x plus 3y equals 6, and I want you to solve for y. So I want you to pause it, try it on your own, and see if you can solve for y, and then compare your answers to mine. Okay, what you should have done is, since we want to get 3y by itself, because that's the end, or what's attached and needs to stay together till the end, I'm going to add a negative 2x to both sides, and I get 3y equals negative 2x plus 6. And you could have written that as x plus negative 2x. I always just put my variable first. Then I'm going to divide everything by 3. So I get y equals, now when you do this, you have to do negative 2x divided by 3. So since that's a fraction and it's a repeating decimal, I'm going to leave it like that. And then I need to do 6 divided by 3, which is 2. So this is my final answer. And we're going to use that for the next part of this equation. Next part of this problem. For this next part, all we're going to do is we're going to take that equation that we found from the last problem and we're going to solve it and then we're going to graph it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take the equation. Since I know that y is all by itself, we can solve for y by picking values for x. Now what we can do is we can pick anything we want for x. But because we have a fraction, we're going to pick multiples of 3. So I want to pick at least 4 multiples. So I'm going to pick -3, 0, 3, and 6. And now all I'm going to do is plug in -3 for x. So I'm going to do -2 thirds times -3 over 1 plus 2. My 3's cancel out, so I'm left with -2 plus 2, or excuse me, +2 plus 2, which is 4. So this ordered pair is -3, 4. So I'm going to show you another one, and then I want you to try the other two on your own. So I'm going to do -2 thirds times 0 plus 2, which is just 0 plus 2. So y equals 2. So my ordered pair is 0, 2. I want you to go ahead and try to solve for 3 and 6 and compare them to mine. And you should see a pattern in your y category. Okay, so I went ahead and I solved the other two. Here's my work here. So when I plugged in 3, I got -2 plus 2, which is 0. And my ordered pair is 3, 0. And then for the last one, I plugged in 6. And when I multiplied that by 2 thirds, I got -4. And -4 plus 2 is -2. So here's my ordered pair. Now you should have noticed that their pattern is going down by 2. We were just subtracting 2 every single time. So now the last part of this is I'm just going to take the ordered pairs that we just found and I'm going to put them on my coordinate plane. So remember x, I have this backwards on here, or written wrong. This is our y value up here. And this is x over here, and we always do our x's first. So I'm going to go to the left 3, and I'm going to go up 4, and make my point. Now I'm going to graph 0, 2. So 0, it tells me to stay where I am, and go up 2. Then I'm going to do 3, 0, go to 3, stay where I am. Then I'm going to do 6. Oh, whoops, I was a little bit too far over for this one. 1, 2, right there. Okay. Go down 2. And you should notice that this makes a line, so I'm going to put my line through it. So that's my answer. So you can try your exit slip. You're going to have 2 different problems of rearranging, and then you're going to have one like this last example of solving for y and then creating 4 ordered pairs. So go ahead and do that now.